الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. All praise is due to Allah, and we ask Allah to exalt the mention and grant peace and raise the rank of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his companions, wives, and all those who follow them on their path of righteousness until the end of time. There are things which are meant to coexist in a disharmonious fashion. They're meant to coexist, but they don't get along. Meaning when one occurs, the other one will soon come around, yet they will be at odds and sometimes at war with each other. One of the common examples of this is how whenever the truth and its representatives become accessible to the masses and become prevalent, the falsehood and its representatives will make an appearance to ensure that they destroy whatever and whoever comes their way. And of course they do this fi sabil shaitan, but they always tell you that they're doing it fi sabilillah. And remember that one. You will remember it throughout the lecture, inshallah. It's always fi sabilillah, brother. I'm only doing this fi sabilillah, but the truth of the matter is, it is fi sabil shaitan, in the way of the shaitan, for the sake of the shaitan, and to fulfill the objectives of the shaitan, not those of Allah Azza wa Jal. And some may say, how could that be? How can someone be so confused about what he's doing? How could you think you're doing something fi sabilillah when you're actually doing it fi sabil shaitan? Yeah, it just seems that it's technically impossible to confuse the two. No, it is not. It is only the case with those who believe that they have made it. When you believe that you have made it, you've covered all the angles and you've got yourself well protected and there's no way that the shaitan will have access to you, you can start beginning to think that everything you do is in the right way and for the right intention. But if you were like the Sahaba, you could never reach that point, because they never reached that point. There was a concern always, why am I doing this? And am I a hypocrite when I'm doing this? Is this fi sabilillah? So when you find someone not worrying about these matters, not thinking about them, therefore everything they do must be fi sabilillah, know that he's already been trapped by the shaitan, because the shaitan took it upon himself never to give up. Never to give up. Once you think he gave up on you, you're such a sheikh now and such a practicing Muslim and so righteous that there's no hope in you, then this is the very beginning of your downfall. This is exactly when you can say, now the shaitan actually has access to this person and he's on his way down. So one should always be worried. These people whom we will be speaking about soon, inshallah, not people by name, by the way, don't worry. Or you can worry if you like. These individuals with this quality that we will be addressing, inshallah, they always tell you that we're doing this fi sabilillah, because they believe most likely and predominantly that they already got it covered. But then you will see that due to the outcome, it is fi sabil shaitan. And so we have to be careful when we do something, why are we doing it? And one has to seek guidance from Allah. Is this good? Is this bad? Is this worth it? Is it not? Excuse me. One of the few times I don't put my phone on airplane mode. Alhamdulillah, someone calls. Okay? So we have to be very careful as why I'm doing this. That's why our righteous predecessors, the Salaf al-Salih, they would have to visit their niyyah on constant basis. It's sometimes every single deed. Every single deed, make sure that you're doing it for the sake of Allah. Even if you think it's 100% for the sake of Allah, ensure that it is for the sake of Allah. Now, who am I speaking about? They are the haters. Haters or haters, however you want to pronounce it, we don't care. Okay, if it sounds like English and the listener understands what you're saying, it's fine. Haters. Their leader and the first one to display hate, was none but Iblis himself, the leader of haters, the envious haters, and the first one to do so. Did he not hate Adam? Did he or did he not? Yes. What did he say? أنا خير منه. I'm better than him. على طول. Without any knowledge, by the way. Allah did not reveal to him any knowledge which suggests that he is better than him. This was his own fatwa. Satanic fatwa. They're very good in giving fatwa as well. I'm better than him. خلقته من نار وخلقته من طين. You made me out of fire and you made him out of clay. خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. So he automatically assumed fire is better than clay, and he assumed that he is better than him, and he gave a fatwa accordingly, and that fatwa, based on his envy and his hatred, caused him to be doomed eternally. You see how grave the situation is? And it all started with that, hating. Iblis was succeeded, meaning there came after him many others who were of his like and shared the same sentiments, like Azar, who rejected Ibrahim alayhi salam, his own father, and Fir'aun, and Haman, Abu Lahab, and his wife. All of these people are famous for hating. In fact, every person who rejected his prophet or messenger, any person who rejected their respective prophet or messenger, are included in this. But the thing is that not all haters are disbelievers. Haters are not restricted to disbelievers. In fact, we have many amongst them in our own ranks. Usually they are more harmful and they cause more damage, besides making us sad, than others, because they have certain access, and because you don't expect it from your own brothers in faith and your own sisters in faith. I mean, people that are close to you. I mean, let me just give you an example. When your neighbor, when a stranger betrays you, it's like he's a stranger. I didn't really know him anyway, so this is not really shocking. But when your neighbor does it, and you see him every day, like you give him a ride, and he tells you, okay, I'll give you 10 riyals if you drop me off somewhere. If it was a total stranger and he ran away, say, he could have been ta'ban from before. If your neighbor did it, like, what? I see this guy every day. How can he run away and not give me the 10 riyals? If your relative did it, you will be more hurt. Maybe the stranger say, okay, who cares? Khalas, 10 riyals gone with the wind. But when your relative does it to you, you will reflect on it for some time. It will bother you within. So the closer the person is to you, the more you are, you're upset when they do something of this fashion. So when your brothers and sisters in faith, which is stronger than the brotherhood and sisterhood of blood, when they do this to you, it doesn't feel good. And it's very sad. Now let us discuss the nature of the disease that haters suffer from. And perhaps we'll give some examples along the line so we can have some practicality in what we're saying. The disease is hasad. Hasad. Al-hasad, hasadahu, yahsuduhu, hasadan, husudan. All of these are derivatives of the same root word. And it has a linguistic meaning as usual and a legal or legislative meaning. As we have said in many lectures, no, you did not. And music, man, Allah musta'an. Rewind. Continue. So, what was I saying? Hasad. Yes, I know hasad. It has a linguistic meaning and a legislative meaning, as in everything. And of course, they're related. They're always related. They say in the Qamus, when defining this word, it says, تَمَنِّي أَن تَتَحَوَّلَ إِلَيْهِ, the person, نِعْمَتُهُ وَفَضِيلَتُهُ أَوْ يُسْلَبَهُمَا. to wish that someone's blessings of Allah upon him or his status is given to you, or that he is deprived of them. That's what it is. So when you wish that someone doesn't have what they have, you don't want him to have it, you're upset that they have it, you're upset with the decree of Allah that He blessed this person, you don't want him to be blessed, and or when you want that blessing to be yours without it being his, meaning take it away from him, give it to me. That's hasad. We have, however, ghubta, and the scholars differentiate between al-ghubta and al-hasad. Even though in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the term hasad was used also in the hadith which I will quote right now. But the scholars differentiate because hasad could mean something else depending on the context, or the initiation of the act is based on hasad, but it ends up with ghubta and it is allowed. Which is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which is in Bukhari and Muslim, and it is narrated by Ibn Umar and others. لا حسد إلا في اثنتين رجل آتاه الله مالا فسلطه على هلكته في الحق ورجل آتاه الله الحكمة فهو يقضي بها ويعلمها. يعني, if you want to translate it as admiring, we don't want to call it envy here. Admiring or being envious in a state of admiration is only allowed in two cases. When a person, a man whom Allah Azza wa Jal has given fulus, He's given him money, and He gave him also the ability to utilize and spend this money in manners which is pleasing to Allah. And a man whom Allah has given wisdom, so he judges by it and he teaches it to the people. These are the two conditions when you could be admiring someone, provided that you don't wish that they lose that. Yani if you say, oh fulan, mashallah, I wish if I were like him, or mashallah, something of the sort, and you don't want this person to lose what Allah gave them, no problem. No problem. But once it goes beyond that, and now you wish for that ni'mah to be removed, you're hating now, you're not happy, rather you're upset, and you're envious, and you're spiteful, then we have a problem. So there's no issue in wishing to be a person like that, to be like that. Now let me tell you exactly what hasad, the blameworthy one, is. Al-Mubarrad, he recited the following verses, and they sound pretty good in English. The Arabic is much better, but we'll go straight to the English. He said, the eye of the envier always sees scandal. They're programmed to find mistakes. They only see scandal. Bringing out faults and hiding the good. You will see, it will remind you of many people. Bringing out faults and hiding the good. He meets you cheerfully with a smiling face, while his heart conceals his true feelings. The envier's enmity comes without provocation, yet he accepts no excuses while he attacks. If he wants to attack and you say, but this and that, nothing will register. Once he goes on the attack, you're done. Who does that remind you of? Sorry for the coffee break. Who does that remind you of? Who do we know amongst the creation of Allah that are envious? We spoke about Iblis and we mentioned some big figures also. Who else?
The non-Muslims.
Specifically,
Christians and
Jews and Christians. The Jews and the Christians. Evidence, وَدَّ كَثِيرٌ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ لو يردونكم من بعد إيمانكم كفارا حسدا من عند أنفسهم من بعد ما تبين لهم الحق. عجيب. Many of the people of the book wish that they can turn you away as disbelievers after you have believed. Why? Out of envy from their own selves, even after the truth has become clear to them. They know already that you are upon the truth, and they hate the fact that you're upon the truth, so they make it a point to look for things or to fetch for the ambiguous ayat or a hadith or anything in the biography of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which they may use in favor of their wicked intentions, in order to cast this at you, hoping you will say, oh, okay, I'm going to leave Islam and come with you. Then and then they will only be happy. Only then. وَلَن تَرْضَ عَنْكَ الْيَهُودُ وَلَا النَّصَارَى حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتَهُمْ. We must believe in that ayat. Neither the Jews nor the Christians will ever be pleased with you until you follow their religion. Once you give up Islam and become one of them, then they will be happy with you. You do 90-10. You tell them, I will give up 90% of my Islam, keep only 10% to make them happy, they will not be happy until you give up the 10%. You do 99 for one, they will not be happy. And how many Muslims are doing that today? Many. إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ اللَّهِ. Yallah, give this up, and this one will take care of it, and this one will hide it, and this one will change it, and this one will modify it. Are you happy now? No. Not yet. Keep doing more. Keep modernizing the deen. Keep making these changes to make it more compatible with our Western, lifestyle. And then we will consider you. Maybe we'll see. It's like some of these Muslim countries trying to join the European, I don't know what. They want to be a European country. Why? Khalas ya boy. Leave it alone. Be happy with what Allah gave you. Trying to be like them and one of them. You don't need to do this. They're not going to be happy until you give up your deen completely. Allah also said about them, أَمْ يَحْسُدُونَ النَّاسَ عَلَى مَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Or do the surah before, was Baqarah, ayah 109. And this one is Surah An-Nisa, ayah 54 and 55. Or do they envy men for what Allah has given them of His bounty? Do they envy the people? They hate the Muslims because of what Allah Azza wa Jal has given us. So, is it okay then to envy people, or it's not okay? What are you waiting for? Okay, it's not okay. And when you envy people, who are you resembling? The Jews and the Christians. Is it halal or haram? Haram. Haram. Anything that has to do with them and their qualities, we may not have. You see how it is? That's one of the evidences, by the way, the scholars used to prove that it is haram to be envious. So then, this kind of envy, based on jealousy and spitefulness, is a disease. It's a disease. Disease of what? Physical disease? Heart. Disease of the heart. Someone, this person suffers the most. Their whole life is suffering because he's always looking around saying, oh, he's never happy until everybody loses everything. What kind of life are you going to lead like this? Al-Hasan al-Basri was asked, can a believer be envied? Is it possible that someone will envy a believer? He replied, what has made you forget Yusuf and his brothers? Have you no father? You know what this have you no father means? Back then, they were not like us. And today, people curse all the time. They use bad language. No? I'm not going to give you examples of bad words. But they're used very often as if it's like something that is normal, even though it's not. Now, you may use some words for other reasons. That's a whole other discussion. But to be one who just curses all the time is not really Islamic. That's why back in the day, when someone would be, when he wanted to react, he would say, La umma lak. Or La aba lak. Yeah, Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhu, he was given a speech. And it was time for Salat al-Dhuhr was about to end. And time of Asr about to begin. And he knew that it was permissible to combine the prayers because of the need. And someone kept getting up and saying, Salah, Salah. So he told them, أَتُعَلِّمُنَا بِالصَّلَاةِ لَا أُمَّ لَكَ. Are you teaching us about Salah? You have no mother? So this is how he cursed. This is the most they would say in something that may be a little, right in your face. Subhanallah, see how nice it is? So he told them, have you no father? But he said, but you should keep this envy, if it should occur, blinded in your heart. Keep it blinded in your heart, for you cannot be harmed by that which you did not act upon in speech or action. If you feel this way, then we will learn in the cures later on in the lecture, inshallah, how to deal with it. But just keep it inside. Don't build on it. Don't entertain it. Don't like it. Don't let it grow. This is very, very important. So then when you see something in someone that pleases you, what do? You make dua for them, barakah. Specifically per the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you see something that pleases you, whether it is a car or a person or whatever it is, barakallahu feek. If it's a person, barakallahu feek. Barakallahu fi sayyarati, barakallahu fi sayyaratik, barakallahu fi malika wa ahlik. Whatever it is, you ask Allah to give it barakah. This is besides mashallah tabarakallah or mashallah la quwwata illa billah. And also the scholars have differed on whether you should say, like right now we're used to what? When you say something, mashallah tabarakallah, sah? People even put on the back of their car. He'd be driving in 1955 to, Toyota, that if somebody gave you for free, you will say thank you. He still has, mashallah tabarakallah, from the eyes of the envious, mashallah tabarakallah. Yeah, see, we said it already. So they won. It's like ingrained in our brain. So anyways, some of the scholars say that shouldn't be used. Okay? Because the hadith mentions that if you see something that pleases you, you ask Allah to bless it. But Shaykh bin Uthaymeen rahimahullah, among others, had the other opinion based on the ayah in Surah Al-Kahf. وَلَوْلَا إِذْ دَخَلْتَ جَنَّتَكَ قُلْتَ مَا شَاءَ اللَّهِ لَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. When you entered upon your garden and it was pleasing to you, had you only said MashaAllah, لَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. So there's a difference of opinion. So when you see something that is pleasing to you, do that before you knock him out with your eye. And it doesn't mean you will punch him, but you can kill someone with your eye, with your evil eye. And hasad, by the way, the eye is a form of hasad, with the evil of the looker. Yani you may look at something and then you're a nice hearted person, you love for the Muslims, mashallah, wallahi, beautiful car, and you could look, and like one brother, every time he hears that somebody is married or got a second wife or a wife from a particular background, MashaAllah. Yani he says it from the bottom of his heart. He's really sincere. The only time he says it is when there's some second wife involved in the process. MashaAllah. La quwwata illa billah. But he's happy for the person. We assume he's happy for the person. So, but remember, people pay attention to even the way you say things. Just for the record. طيب. So then we learn that this is the way of the Jews and the Christians. And that we Muslims should not resemble them in this particular fashion. طيب. There's another ayah which is very relevant to what I'll be saying later on, inshaAllah ta'ala. إِنَّ الدِّينَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ الْإِسْلَامِ وَمَا اخْتَلَفَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ إِلَّا مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْعِلْمُ بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُمْ. Verily the only deen acceptable in the sight of Allah is Islam. And those who were given the book did not differ except after the knowledge had been brought to them. جَاءَهُمُ الْعِلْمُ بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُمْ. Out of transgression and enmity and hatred amongst them. The scholars understand from this ayah and others that there's a close relationship between knowledge and envy. And that sometimes when someone, and of course the scholars who are the senior scholars, usually are above this kind of lowly behavior. They're above that. They have enough taqwa, enough righteousness, enough mindfulness of Allah to rise above this kind of lowliness. But those who do not have these qualities, once they have a little knowledge, this is when they will start to differ out of envy. So you find different people involved in da'wah and knowledge, they're at each other's necks. Not because one is off the path and the other one is on the path, and so, or there's a clarification of some error for the benefit of the Muslims. We're not talking about that. We're talking about people who are supposed to be working together, hand in hand, towards the same goal and objective, are turning against each other and kind of finishing each other. So by the time you get to the end of the race, there's no one there to win. The Sufis will make it first. All of these people on the way of the righteous predecessors, they've already knocked each other out. And then all the deviant will say, they will go through the rope at the end, or whatever you call it, that thing, that ribbon. And they are the victorious one, and we'll sit there and say, hey! So while we're fighting, they're building this huge university somewhere in the USA. They're actually renting or getting a segment in a big university, some Sufis. And they have this video on YouTube advertising it. And if you saw it, you will say, this has nothing to do with Islam. This is not an Islamic university. But it is. Music from the beginning till the end. Ladies and brothers sitting next to each other, studying together. You know how lovely it is? To revise, the fiqh principle with a sister next to you. Oh no, that's the wrong one, sister. But where do you think you are, man? They're sitting on round tables next to each other, sister, with, the funky monkey hijab. With the super, 12 rainbows in her head and her, makeup. And she looks like she was run over by 3 trucks simultaneously. All of them with paintballs on them. Coming out and sitting next to the brother. Taqwa, mashallah. Taqwa, big taqwa for her and for the brother. Brother's like, yeah, I'm cool like that, man. The ladies, akhi. We're all Muslims here, come on. I don't have any feelings towards them. Yeah. Yeah, tell that to the shaitan. He's going to believe you. Bismillah. So some funny stuff. So they go now, look at this now. Look at this accomplishment. And if this opens, it will be a calamity upon us. Because they're going to recruit. And all these Muslims from all over the world will apply to this university, get approved probably, travel over there. And this is damaging to the Muslims at large. Because they're going to learn a modern version of Islam, not the way of the Sahaba and those who followed them. And so everything we're doing, as they say, you're putting one brick and you have 1,000 people knocking down the wall. How much can you build? If you put one brick and then 1,000 people are ready to break it, when will we build something for the ummah? So it's a very serious matter in this sense, that while we're fighting and going over nonsense, this is what they're doing. They know better not to waste their time. Had we only learned from them in this regard, we would have accomplished a lot. Wallah al-musta'an. Tayyib. What are the causes of envy? The number one cause is enmity. Enmity between the people. When you have they call it beef in the street language. Nowadays they call it chicken. Like someone calls, say, can I meet you? I say, no, you can chicken me. And it takes them usually 15 seconds for say, oh! So anyway, it's one of these lame jokes, but it works sometimes. Anyways, so their problem, there's hatred, there's enmity between the two, and that once there's this enmity, then the envy will come about. One of the reasons why people become envious, because there's enmity between them. Now, why is there enmity? And is it justifiable? Very often it is not. Yani, for example, right now, if 2 brothers differed on something, whatever it is, money or lesser than that, is it permissible for them to boycott each other and abandon each other for any reason? No. In fact, if you go through the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, more than one, that at particular times, all the believers will be forgiven, like every Monday and Thursday, except 2 who have enmity against each other. And the hadith of the middle of Sha'ban, Shabi Birat, is that what it's called? What was it called again? Yeah. If it is sahih, according to some of the ulama, if it is sahih, that on that night, all the believers are forgiven except those who have enmity. Of course, it doesn't mean that you can do any ibadah. The fact that Allah will forgive people, if the hadith is sahih, according to Shaykh al-Badi, it's Hasan rahimahullah, if it is, it doesn't mean that you can do any ibadah. And we addressed this in the lecture, can I celebrate this? Right? Or are you guys confused now? You're confused. Okay, I'll tell it to you in an example, worldly example. Your mudir says to you, Wednesday is a day off. Don't come to work. Okay? All of you. So you send an email to all of the employees, your co-workers, say, the mudir said to go to the beach on Wednesday. And if you go to the mudir, he says, who told you? You say, you said that we have a day off. He said, yeah, me saying we have a day off does not mean that there's a beach involved. Okay? The fact that I said take a day off does not permit you to add something and attribute it to me. You can't build on it anything because I didn't say that. If I wanted to say that, I could have said, hey guys, Wednesday's a day off and you have to go to the beach. If I said it's a day off, you can go sleep, you can go eat, you can go do whatever you want. The hadith says Allah will forgive the people. Does it mean that you can go do qiyam all day and fasting, or qiyam all night and fasting all day? No, it does not. From where did you deduce adding acts of worship based on a khabar that people will be forgiven? It just says that people will be forgiven. You have no right to attach any act of worship without an evidence. So when they go look for the other evidences, all of them are weak. Therefore, there's no special ibadah on the 15th of Sha'ban. Is that clear? Okay, so no one will be confused afterwards. So how did we get there? So look at these hadith. People will be forgiven unless they have enmity. So do you really want to miss out on being forgiven every week? And every year, on yearly basis, because of an enmity that is not justifiable? No, you don't. The second reason is arrogance. Arrogance. People hate to be corrected, or they don't accept the truth. And this is a calamity. The truth of the matter is, when one of us makes a mistake, which we do, and someone presents the mistake in a decent manner, the person who made the mistake must change his views and must go back to the truth. When someone doesn't do that and they're arrogant, then they will reject whatever advice, and therefore they will envy others now. For who will accept the advice while they don't accept the advice. So not only that they have a problem within themselves, it will lead them to hate others who accept advice. So they say, oh, these are just sheep. They listen to whatever people tell them. And supposedly he's the one who's adhering to the position that he does not change. Thirdly, self-admiration. There's no way that, this person could be better than me or this and that. So therefore, he will envy anyone who seems to compete with him in this particular regard. Fourthly, seeking leadership and fame. If someone wants to be a leader, and so anyone who tries to come near him, he wants to put him down, Don't come close. Okay, this is my platform kind of mentality. And so move away. You come close, I will knock you out. So they become envious against those who may, instead of saying, Alhamdulillah, more dua to the truth, more people working towards Allah. That is the attitude of the real believer. You're happy. You're happy when you see people are getting there, going beyond you and exceeding you. You may wish that Allah will give you more. You may do tanafus. وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. In that, let those who want to compete. You will compete with this person. سَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ. Hasten to the forgiveness of your Lord. لِمِثْلِ هَذَا فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْعَامِلُونَ. And like that, for that, let those who want to work and exert themselves. No issue. If we compete towards Allah Azza wa Jal. But if the competition is, I want to make it and I don't want you to make it, then this is because of seeking leadership and fame. And lastly, just wickedness. Just plain wickedness. Plain old wickedness. The person is evil inside, and they don't want anyone to be in the state of goodness. They don't want anyone to be blessed except themselves. So they're envious. What are the cures? In case you're interested, I'm interested. The cure is following Allah's commands. Just follow Allah's commands and fight your desires. And from where do you get that encouragement? Which ayah encourages us to remember Allah and fight our desires? The one who gives me the answer will get nothing. I promise, a big nothing for you. Give me an ayah from the book of Allah which suggests that you remember Allah and you will fight your desires. Then you will be successful. Come on. Easy one. Where are the Huffaz? Ya Shu'aib? La. لا. لا. جزء عامة يا جماعة الخير. I often give you something easy from جزء عامة. I know that you may not be familiar with the other ayat, so you're excused. But جزء عامة, no one here is excused. I'm sorry. If you still haven't memorized جزء عامة, you got to do some serious checkup. Okay, and find out what's going on there. It's the easy stuff. Easy stuff. Come on. Children, 5 years old, mashallah, have it memorized. لا. Surah Al-Nazi'at. طيب, at the end. أيوة. وأما من خاف مقام ربه ونهى النفس عن الهوى فإن الجنة هي المأوى. See, if we don't know the meaning of the ayat, that's probably why we're not able to think of them. Okay, maybe we heard the Arabic, maybe you know the Arabic but not the English or the Urdu or whatever it is, but we need to know what it means. As for the one who fears standing before his Lord and he stops himself of what it desires, hawa, then Jannah will be the abode. So, remember you will meet Allah, fight off this desire. You're envious, kill it. Kill it inside. Hide it, don't act upon it, don't speak about it, don't let it materialize, you're fine. Because some of the Salaf said, every human being has an element of enviness in him. Every human being, it's just there, but you just have to fight it off. Don't let it materialize, don't let it come out. Okay, it's just like something that is in human nature, generally speaking. Of course, it has various degrees. Secondly, be content with Allah's division, what Allah gave to His creatures. نحن قسمنا بينهم معيشتهم في الحياة الدنيا ورفعنا بعضهم فوق بعض درجات. It is we who apportioned their livelihood in this life of this world, and we raised some of them over others in degrees and ranks. Allah is the one who divided. He made it according to His wisdom. He gave us different things. نحن قسمنا بينهم معيشتهم في الحياة الدنيا ورفعنا بعضهم فوق بعض درجات. And Allah raised some people over others. That's the decree of Allah. That's why the scholars say when you are envious, it's almost like you're saying, oh Allah, why did you give him this? أعوذ بالله. That's what it boils down to. You're upset with the decree of Allah. You're upset with Allah blessing someone else, and you further want Allah to take away His blessings from this person and give him to you. A'udhu billah. This is wicked. This is very bad. That's why this, I will tell you later on in the conclusion, some very profound observation of some of the ulama. And lastly, reflect on the consequences. Being envious will often backfire. It will often come back to you at some point in time. So, based on the principle, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. None of you shall truly believe until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. Based on this principle, do not do something which will eventually come back to you. Love for him what you love for yourself, and hate for him what you hate for yourself. If you hate to be envied, don't envy other people. You don't want to be envied. It's a terrible feeling. Imagine when you go to work. Let's say like you're some big shot, right? Some mudir, and when you walk in, your people's like, so this is the guy. Do you like it? Some people are so wicked they like it. They're like, yeah. They talk about me. I'm the tough guy. You must be sick, man. If you have some feelings like, why are they talking about me? You'll be upset. Maybe you want to go to and say, why are you guys talking about me? What did I do? I'm a nice guy. Okay, I'm a mudir by the decree of Allah. I don't mean to be mean, okay? But sometimes I have to tell you what to do because I'm the mudir. But that doesn't mean you hate me, and I don't like it if you hate me. And it's not okay for you to hate me or envy me. So that's why the mudir, whoever is given a position of authority, he has to be very diplomatic with the people he's dealing with. And this is the reason why many people in charge are hated tremendously by their workers. Because they don't have the politics to deal with the people. They misuse the position they granted to abuse the people under them, and it creates major hatred among the Muslims. My manager is just one heck of a guy. And they exist, mashallah. Nice people. There are some really nice. And this guy is I hope he's here. He's not even here. No, don't think he's like going to give me a raise after this. La wallah. I'm sincere, wallah. The guy, mashallah, is amazing. He's a genius. All this information stored, but cool as a person can be. He's your buddy, you know. And so if you are a manager, you have to have this kind of attitude. Yes, there are times when you have to show authority, but that's only sometimes. When you have to draw the line, or when you see someone violating certain things which may affect the business, at large. Otherwise, you have to be easy with the people, man. Otherwise, they will hate you and envy you. And if they envy you, one day you may be down there and they may be up there. People can kill you with their eye. Just remember that. طيب. And lastly, busy yourself with what is good. You know? Yani you have some time on your hand, use it for something good. It reminds me of this forum. You know, there are many forums actually. There are many forums out there. And one in particular, which they should call Satanic Awakening sometimes. Sometimes it's Islamic Awakening, sometimes it's Satanic Awakening. It has some nice people, beautiful people, sweet. And it has some moderate people, you know, 50-50. And it has some potatoes. Some real, funky, old, rotten potatoes. And how do you know that? You know that when you find a thread that goes on for 29 pages, each page requires for you to scroll down from the top to the bottom, I don't know how long. It seems like the bottom never gets there. Before you read the whole thing, jump to the next page. All of it is a bunch of nonsense. How do they have time? I'm amazed. I'm amazed. They pick on someone. If they don't like you, Allah yustur. Allah yustur. If they don't like you, just watch. They will write and write and write and write and write endlessly about nothing. Nothing, absolutely nothing beneficial. Had they used this time that they're hating on people and envying them, had they used it to serve Islam and the Muslims, prepare something, write a book, write a leaflet, give a lecture, go out and give da'wah to your neighbor, they would have done Islam a great favor. But no. Hours. Each reply, and they're professional in replying, you know. So like for example, you put one sentence, okay? One sentence. Brothers, you know, this is not nice. You could be a little nicer in your advice. Okay? Then here comes but not one genius, you have a few of them. They will get this one line and start quote, then reply. You said brothers. What do you mean by brothers? Suddenly we are your brothers, then 20 lines on the word brothers. And then, you know, you said, brother, stop. And then he will give you the history of the word stop from 15 dictionaries. And with the quotation, citation. And then analysis of the word. Cry baby, stop crying. Tell us why you said this in the lecture 3 years ago. Why did you say this in the lecture? What does this have to do with anything? I'm dealing with things now. Just get over this last lecture 3 years ago. Khalas, it's in the past. No. It's very sad. They do this to many people. That forum, and they're not the only forum. You don't go to forums. My advice, sincere advice to you is do not be part of them. I eventually gave up. Of course, they said that I'm a coward and I ran away because I couldn't face the truth according to them. But I realized that time is precious. Look, either I prepare for this lecture or I spend my time replying to these people who will never ever be convinced. Allahu A'lam, it could be hate, it could be, I don't know what it could be. I don't want to assume that they are envious or hating, but I'll tell you for sure that it is a waste of time. And so once someone has a lot of time on his hand or they're envious, do something that is beneficial for the Muslims. It would be much, much better than hating on your brother. Or the others, there are a few other people who are very gentle and sweet, who have the time to, of course, make videos as long as 1 hour and 8 minutes, to fetch for every mistake that you have ever made. According to them, of course, it's a mistake. And so they also make a video and they propagate Jazakallah khair, and they're making sure that they spread in the da'wah fi sabilillah, fi sabil shaitan. Well, it depends on their niyyah. Nonetheless, This is all because of time. And let me ask you something. Do you have time to recite one page of the Quran every day? How many can say yes? No, do you do it? Okay, don't tell me if you do it or not. Do we have time? We have time to recite a lot more than that. But how many actually recite a safha or safhatain or thalath safhat? Don't answer. Let's not embarrass ourselves. Okay, maybe a few can raise their hands and the rest can just say, change the subject please. Right? Or memorizing a hadith or whatever you want to call it. Whatever it is. We find that we don't have time. So how is it that we have time for all these other things? Find time to go fetching for the mistakes of your brother. Why, ya Sheikh? Why? Why? Let it go. Fi sabilillah. If it's something small, let it slide. If it's a critical issue, then there's a way to deal with it. So what is the conclusion? I don't want to really drag this. Okay, enough has been said. But I have to do this because honestly, I have to be frank with you. I get these emails from concerned brothers and sisters, people who really intend good, and say, brother, Jazakallah khairan for the lectures, and alhamdulillah, benefit, blah, 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 but there's an email that is circulating around you. Or somebody posted something on Facebook about you. Somebody made a video against you. So please, explain. Because they're confused. And these people succeed in casting doubt, making it seem like I'm some deviant, person trying to lead the people to Jahannam wal-'iyadhu billah. And so it becomes necessary to point out these issues, not because I don't care, I care and I don't care really. I have a conflicting feelings in regards to this issue. But my main thing is that these people who are confused because of what is being said, feel at ease. Okay, just realize that many of this, wallahi, is baseless. They make claims and accusations, they could have contacted me regarding them. They claim that I didn't study with Fulan. You could go ask Fulan and you can come and ask me. Or you could ask people who were there during that time and they will give you the evidence. Don't believe what the people say out of hatred and envy. Because people lie. People lie. You will say, no way he would lie, but the people lie continuously. Wallahi, and you will not expect it from certain people, but it happens. So don't believe everything that is being said. Verify, and there are means to verify it. Conclusion, guess what? The first sin which Allah was disobeyed with in the heaven was hasad. And the first sin which Allah was disobeyed with on earth was hasad. Iblis against Adam and Habil against Qabil. One envied another up there, so Allah sent him down. And one brother envied his brother, so he killed him. And so Allah Azza wa Jal caused this to be the first person to kill. And everyone who kills afterwards, he will get a share of the sin because he is man sanna al-qatl. He's the first one to begin this act of killing. So the first sin Allah was disobeyed with in the heavens and on earth was hasad. That's enough reason for us to stay away from it tooth and nail. Completely stay away from it and abandon it completely. If one of us sees in his heart some element of hasad, remember Allah and seek His pleasure. Fight it off. Fight off your desires. Busy yourself with something beneficial. Don't build on it. Don't go wasting your time and the time of Muslims on these issues. We have way more important things to deal with that are very important for our growth, constructive growth. And if we don't use this time in a manner that is beneficial, we will lose. So I invite all the Muslims who have been hating and envying each other to stop. And let's try to unify our ranks per the way of the righteous predecessors. Let's come together for the sake of Allah. Each one of us give up some of his pride and arrogance and just step on it and say, let's work together towards this goal. But we have to do some sacrifice. Because we are being attacked by everybody. All the deviant groups are at our necks, calling us different names and warning against us, and they're not failing in doing their job of making us look bad. We have a horrible reputation. As people who follow the Sunnah, for whatever reason, we have a horrible reputation among all the grave worshippers and their likes. All over the Muslim world. And then we have the disbelievers at our necks. And then we have ourselves on each other's necks. So it's like we're killing ourselves. And this has to stop. If we came together to fight off the evil forces that are external, then inshallah we will be able to fulfill the objectives and the goals which are necessary for our growth. So please, I'm willing to give up and to compromise anything which is personal to me for the sake of brotherhood. If I've done anything or anything I have to change, modify, for rectifying, I'm willing to do it, provided that it doesn't deal with the principles of our deen. I won't compromise the deen, inshallah. But if it's anything else that is personal, I'll throw it in the trash. I'll get over it and we'll move forward. But the brothers have to do the same thing. So I'm inviting them to stop doing this. Wallahi, it is not healthy for anyone. Neither for me, nor for you. In fact, you're in big trouble with Allah unless you stop. That's what it boils down to, because you're destroying the voice that is calling the people to none but the sunnah of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu salam. And no one can claim otherwise. No one can claim otherwise. That anything other than the sunnah has ever been propagated from behind this speaker or microphone or recorder. Never. Have I ever invited anyone to do any bid'ah? Ever called you to anything odd which you have never heard from the scholars? Never. Everything is in agreement with the teachers of Islam, the authentic, with verification. So what do you want? To claim otherwise is dhulm. So please, come on. Let's work it out. And let's get over these differences. And let's, help the Muslims in what is beneficial for them. So I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to facilitate that and to make us get over our ego and to be humble and submissive and kind and sweet and loving to each other. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Any questions, my brothers or sisters? No? Yes, sir.
Fatwa was given by Iblis. Is that true?
A fatwa was given by who?
Iblis. I'm created from fire and Adam is created from clay. So was that the real first fatwa? Fatwa, who are they?
Well, brother, the term fatwa, don't think of it as a fatwa that is issued by a scholar and Iblis is a scholar and he issued his first fatwa with a signature. The term fatwa, linguistically, means to issue a ruling or an opinion. So don't get too technical. Of course I said it. And so if you're asking me, I'm going to say yes because I said it. So yes, he issued that fatwa, but I don't know what you think by the word fatwa now.
No, I'm thinking the same thing you said. Telling something of his own, making himself.
Okay, do you believe that Allah issues fatwa? It's a trick question, but don't help him. Do you believe Allah issues fatwa or not?
Yes.
You have an evidence?
He commands people to...
No, the term was used for Allah. يَسْأَلُونَكَ. What is in Surah An-Nisa? قُلِ اللَّهُ يُفْتِيكُمْ فِي الْكَلَالَةِ. Allah himself said, Allah will give you yuftikum. Allah will give you the fatwa regarding al-kalala. I can think it in another occasion as well. على كل حال, it's in Surah An-Nisa. It's in the book of Allah. So the term, now when we say fatwa, it's the fatwa of Allah Azza wa Jal. So we just learn, I'm trying to show you the linguistic aspect of it. So linguistically, yes, Iblis' fatwa was, I'm better than him. That was his own opinion and judgment. So yes. But don't think about it too much, man. It's going to just bother you. Yes, Akhi?
Like you said, if we are enemies, we can affect someone with the evil eye and the person might get killed, right? So is there any way that we know if someone has been affected by the evil eye?
Yes, there are ways. Of course, you have a few things here. We have the evil eye, and we have the envy, and we have the jinn and magic. And very often these things may be confused as to what really happened to this person. And really it requires professional people that are experienced mashayikh who can differentiate between these things and tell you what is next. But the general solution for all that is, in terms of protection or prevention, is that we remember Allah Azza wa Jal often. We read the Mu'awwidhatan. وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدٍ. You seek refuge with Allah from the eyes of the envious and from the envy in general. And remembrance of Allah as means of protection. After it happens, is ruqya. Al-ruqya shar'iyya, with its vastness and the many ways it could be done, then that would be the solution afterwards. But it's not for anyone to do it, in a sense, if someone is doing it professionally. But anyone can do ruqya for anyone, yes. But there are certain people that you refer to in matters that are beyond the average, that are qualified and specialized. And we have many dajjalin, many charlatans or liars who pretend to know, and they treat magic with magic, or they give you some some weird stuff as a solution, and they ask you for weird things. You have to be very careful of these people, and they're all over the place. But that requires a lengthy discussion, and this is not the time for it.
Speaking of husn and protecting yourself, if somebody is used to doing it every day, twice a day, doing their
Adhkar?
Yeah, adhkar, and one day he happens to forget, is he still protected, or?
Allahu A'lam. Someone can do it and still be affected, and someone can forget it and be protected.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like, okay, you put a coin in the vending machine, and you may get the chips or may get stuck. Okay, so I mean, there's no guarantees in these things. This is all in the hands of Allah. Wallahu khayrun hafidhan wa huwa arhamur rahimin. Allah is the best of protectors, and He is the most merciful. So, I mean, look at the prophets. Yusuf was taken away and thrown into the well, and he went through a long process. So still the decree of Allah is part and parcel of the whole thing.
Yeah, but
you just utilize the means.
Yes.
Your job is to utilize the means. But if it happens, it's the decree of Allah.
But if something should harm you, can we connect that to humanly, if something should harm you, it's probably Allah's will. And
Not probably, it is Allah's will.
No doubt it is. But it's not because of somebody, ayn or whatever.
It could be. Okay.
What about envy in terms of business? Like businesses envy, like one business wants to be a higher achiever, getting more profit than other businesses. So what about enmity and hatred?
If it's mubah, no, well, it depends on whether they're going to cross the line. Generally, this is mubah.
Okay.
If it's something that is allowed, you may compete with it. You may compete in it, afwan. Okay, if it's mubah. Provided that you don't transgress against the other person. Yani, you don't start a business, say, well, I don't want to envy anyone, I'll have the worst business in the street. Okay? Take out these, advertisements, make our place look, all shabby and everything, because we don't want to envy anyone. No, you go and make the place look good, and you may compete, but within the boundaries of mubah. Once you go beyond that, and you transgress against your competitor, then it becomes haram. Now. Yes?
Do you have any advices for people who spend their time watching the soccer leagues and cricket matches almost every day?
Soccer and cricket? Yeah, I have an advice for them. Stop doing it. You know what I mean? Come on. I mean, highlights is acceptable. Okay? They play a 90-minute soccer match for the sake of Allah, chasing after a ball. It's nice to take 2 minutes to see the 3 goals that they scored. Khalas. That does the job. Actually, that's what you're looking for. More than that is this. And the cricket games can be ridiculously long. I remember one brother said it could be 10 hours, 15 hours? 5 days? Yeah, boy. Wallah, if they paid me $1 million riyals, I wouldn't go, man. What is this?
One of the brothers here wanted to know whether it is haram spending the time watching those matches.
Well, look, generally speaking, if it doesn't conflict with the obligations, it's disliked. Once it affects the obligations, it becomes haram. If it's going to distract you from what is obligatory, it becomes haram. Now many people think that, okay, I'm praying at the time of salah, therefore it's okay. But they fail to realize that keeping the kinship ties is obligatory. And this may be the time for them to keep the kinship ties, and they're too busy watching. This is an obligation you have forsaken. Or you have forsaken, yes. So there's an issue there. It's not only salah. It could distract you from dutifulness to your parents. Your parents may expect you to be around at this particular time, and you watching this cricket match. And your mother keeps looking at the time, where's my son? This is uquq. This is a calamity. This is just as bad as missing the salah. If not just a little lesser, because leaving the salah is disbelief. You see what I'm saying? So many people are tricked by the shaitan. Oh, well, okay. At the time of salah, from dhuhr to asr, I watch 3 hours, and then I pray asr, then I continue watching. but you're actually missing out on other obligations in between. So yeah, I mean, generally speaking, it's not befitting for a Muslim to spend his time wasting his time on these things. Now, there are times where you want to kind of relax and take it easy. It's family time, you're trying to be close with your wife and children, and you want to spend some time seeing something that is halal. Ma fi mushkil. We're not going to say the whole day you're going to be seeking knowledge and remembering Allah. Sa'a wa sa'a. There's a time for this and time for that. But, it's it's very sensitive. People very often lose track of what they're doing and they become addicted. Angry Birds. All day, meow, meow, meow. Brother, what are you doing? At work, under the table. Come on, man. You laugh and look like you're doing this at work, man. Yes, Akhi.
I have a friend who moved to a new house, and I asked him, why don't you invite your friends over for dinner? He's like, no, I don't want the evil eye. Is what he's doing right or wrong?
Technically, it's wrong, but he may have a reason. He may have been tested in this fashion, and he may be someone who is envied, and he wants to be careful. You just give him his space. Okay, you give him his space. But this should not be the general attitude of the believer. Okay, but every kullu ذي نعمة محسود. Everyone who's been given some bounty is envied by others, But the one with the strong tawakkul on Allah Azza wa Jal and everything, he just says, Yallah, Bismillah. Doesn't worry much. But some people may want to be more cautious and careful. Leave him. Because if something happens, you know who's going to accuse. I told you, this is what's going to happen to me. Then you're going to have to deal with the consequences. I should have left you alone. So leave him alone from the beginning. Yes, Akhi.
Brother, you just mentioned about Qabil gets the sin for all the murders that took place. Am I misquoting here?
No, you're not misquoting me. The Prophet ﷺ said that no person kills another one except that Qabil has a share of the sin لأنه أول من سن القتل. He is the first one to, let's say, legislate, or the first one to begin this concept of killing. So when you start something evil and the people follow your footsteps and commit it, then you become, you share with all of them the sin until Yawm al-Qiyamah.
Excuse my ignorance. Is this authentic hadith that you're
La, it's a weak hadith, but I quoted it anyways. Come on, brother. I'm serious too.
kind of goes into the side of what people argue with the original sin. I mean, isn't that something similar?
La, ya Sheikh. The original... No, brother. The original sin in Christian conception is that Adam and Eve disobeyed Allah, and every human being was born sinful because of the sin they inherited. Okay? And then they have to accept Jesus as Lord and Savior to expiate that sin. We're talking about, I'll give you an example. Okay? You're driving your car down the street, and then there's traffic light and a lot of cars, so you decide to make a U-turn right before the traffic light, going over the island, which is not meant for you to go. And you do it, and then a second car follows, and a third car follows, and a fourth one, and when the fourth one's making a U-turn, boom, someone hits him. You're guilty, in this sense. Because who's the one who came up with this idea? Who paved the way for this to happen? You. Okay? And technically speaking, even you yourself, if no one told you, you will feel guilty. Because you violated the law, and you caused others to violate the law. So now you share a sin of the consequences. Not that they were born with that sin of making a U-turn. That's two different worlds here. You follow me? So the hadith is authentic from the Prophet ﷺ, and it's speaking about he is the first one to commit this. And there are many hadith. Man sanna fil islami sunnatan sayyatan falahu wizruha wa wizru man amila biha ila yawm al-qiyamah. Whoever begins something bad in Islam, he will have its sin and the sin of all those who act upon it until yawm al-qiyamah. The hadith, I believe, is in Sahih Muslim. So we have many hadith to this effect. That's why if you go back to the old lectures like the extermination of innovation and lecture where we deal with bid'ah, we warn the brothers of bid'ah, because when you start a bid'ah, and all these people start performing this bid'ah because of you, then you're responsible for all of them on Yawm al-Qiyamah. If you make a music tape and then all these people listen to this tape and they listen to music because of you and you don't repent to Allah, then all of them are in your neck on Yawm al-Qiyamah. So this is from the usul of the deen. And it doesn't conflict, Habibi, with the issue of original sin which the Christians have. Because that has to do with being born in the state of sinfulness, and we're speaking about something that you initiate in this life and the people follow your footsteps and it's displeasing to Allah. Clear? Sorry about the bad joke. But you gave me the way, so I figured I'll just take advantage of it. Yes? I'm sorry?
A question off the topic, can I?
Yeah, sure. Well, everything's off the topic now.
I sent an email a couple of weeks back without any references in that one. I didn't forward it to anybody. It says reciting of certain surahs after Maghrib, particularly Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Surah Al-Mulk, Surah Dukhan, Surah Muzammil, it brings this benefit, this benefit, this benefit.
Yes.
Is it true?
No, it is not. The only one that is true is Surah Al-Mulk. Surah Al-Mulk will do two things according to two narrations which are authentic. One, that it will argue on your behalf on Yawm al-Qiyamah, and the other one, it will protect you from the torment of the grave. Surah Al-Mulk. Surah Al-Waqi'ah means for you never to see poverty again, da'if. And many Surah Yasin and things that, da'if, if not fabricated. So many of these other narrations that speak about the virtues of certain surah are either fabricated or weak. So the ones that are authentic are actually very small in number. The authentic ahadith about the virtues of particular surah are very limited. And much of that which you get specifically in these emails are basically this Allahu A'lam what their sources. And so go back to the lecture, do not forward.
I attended the lecture, that's why I didn't forward.
Jazakallah khair. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Difference either in that. They just said do this, you'll get this reward, that's it. Close.
Yeah, they make it seem like they work with the angels. They know everything already, what's going to happen. Send it to you will not send it. 97% of the people will not send this. Only 3%. And in 1 hour you will have 1 million people who will say, yeah, Sheikh, what if the network is down? You send and that doesn't go out. How are you going to know in 1 hour 1 million people would have said Subhanallah? Subhanallah. Anything else?
When it comes to
Yeah.
reference, like these days, on Facebook, you will notice that their hadith, okay, it says like it's a hadith down there, Sahih Bukhari, hadith number, this. And when you look upon it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. There's a lot of going on. A lot going on. Many of these are the hands behind it are Jews, Christians, disbelievers who try to, distort our religion in this fashion. I have to be very careful. Verification is important. Don't take anything for granted. Now. Yes?
Other than Surah Al-Mulk, reading Surah Al-Kahf every Friday is not authentic?
Naam. Surah Al-Kahf every Friday is authentic. And there's more than one hadith and they're all authentic. One of them mentions that you will have a light illuminating for you between the 2 Fridays. And another one mentions that you'll be forgiven 1 week plus 3 days. And a hadith are authentic from the Prophet ﷺ regarding Surah Al-Kahf every Jumu'ah. I can't possibly now enumerate all the authentic ones. We know Ayat al-Kursi, it will protect you as long as you're sleeping until the morning. We have Surah Al-Ikhlas, it's 1/3 of the Quran. Al-Ma'widhatan, we already know the authenticity of those. Al-Baqarah and Al-Imran will come as 2 clouds on Yawm al-Qiyamah and shading the person who used to recite them. Surah Al-Baqarah has its virtues which we know that the shaitan cannot enter the home and the batil cannot come to it. And it's, a means of protection. Generally speaking, Surah Al-Fatiha, we already know, we have a whole lecture about it, One Way to Paradise. We mentioned some of the virtues of Surah Al-Fatiha, that it's a ruqyah, and it's a treatment, a spiritual treatment, and it has all these different effects. These are the authentic ones. Many ones about Dukhan and Surah Al-Zumar, and these ones are inauthentic. The other authentic one is Surah Al-Sajdah. Also, the Prophet ﷺ, according to the authentic hadith, he wouldn't go to sleep until he had recited Surah Al-Mulk and Surah Al-Sajdah. So these are the authentic ones which I am aware of. Wallahu a'lam. Many are inauthentic. It doesn't mean that everything I mentioned now includes the authentic and the inauthentic. This is as per the memory. But there are more that are authentic, possibly, and there are more that are inauthentic as well. And by the way, there will be a lecture, inshallah, about that. But we are ahead of ourselves, it's okay. Inshallah, it's okay. But something specific will be dedicated to this issue, bi'idhnillah azza wa jal. It's already in the making. So, barakallah fikum. Inshallah, unless, wait. Actually, don't wait.